When I got there, the church was called the El Salvador San Salvador West Belize Mission, and when they, after probably about a year into my mission, they gave the two states closest to them to the other mission, and they shortened our mission, and they named it the El Salvador Santa Ana Belize Mission. Because they moved the church's offices to the mission's offices to Santa Ana, and so we had those three states, and then the country of Belize, and so it's pretty small, relatively small. Keep in mind, probably the whole country of El Salvador is probably 10 times smaller than the state of Utah, so pretty small. Definitely small, and so we had just like 3 states in there, so you could definitely drive around our mission in probably, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 hours. So it's small, and so the mission was like that. And after I had gotten home, they had told me that they had changed the mission again, so they cut off even a little bit more of it, and they changed what was the East mission. They changed it, and they put in another mission in between our missions, and they called that mission the El Salvador San Salvador Belize Mission. And so they got Belize, and let's see, part of the state of Sonsonate, they kind of cut it in half, and so our mission got even that much smaller. So the mission president was in charge of half of the state of Sonsonate, Santa Ana, and Ahuachapan. So just like this little tiny space, and we didn't have Belize anymore, and so that was interesting. So there's 3 different missions inside this tiny country, which may seem kind of a little extensive, but I think once you see that, you see first of all the population as well as the church down there. It's so large and is growing so quickly that many missionaries down there can only be beneficial. So that was definitely something that's great about that. It gets me excited because the work is continuing. More missions are forming in that small country, however small it might be. Also, that these millions of people that live there will be able to experience the gospel down there. So that's how the mission has changed. It's evolved, and it's kind of confusing. So those missions, all 3 of them, I'm sure they're great. I've served in parts of some of them. I guess I can kind of brag about that. I've served in different, what are now different missions. So yeah, it was Santa Ana Belize, but then they just changed it to Santa Ana because Belize is a pretty big country, but yeah. The church isn't as strong there. So at a time we have probably around, like, I would say 20 to 30 missionaries, I think. And it's an English mission. So they speak English up in Belize, or what's I think referred to as Creole, which is a very relaxed form of English, something that maybe everyone that speaks English might not understand because it's so relaxed. I never learned how to speak it. I thought it was crazy, and so that was the experience up there. And I think it was almost completely different than El Salvador from what I've heard. I've had a few friends that went up there, and really nice culture. Definitely really different in that sense, but yeah, the church is growing there, and I think the presence in Belize has been, as far as the church's presence in Belize, has been a little bit like spread out, I would say, because actually Belize has been handed from different mission to mission, and I think mainly just the reason is because of transportation. And I think the reason why what is now the El Salvador San Salvador mission, or the central mission, they have that because of the international airport that San Salvador has in the capital. And as far as I understand, someone told me that just because of the airport that we have, it's easy to transport missionaries there. So that's why, El Salvador has Belize. So.